So pretty much growing up, a lot of people have always told me that I talk too much. And you know what? They're actually right. But here's the thing. You know, when people give you, a criticism like that, that's not really advice. All they really do is say that to you. And you know what? That doesn't really help. It's like, okay, thanks for, sharing that with me. Now what? So I've always been a big talker. I'm one of those people who has the gift of gab, as they call it. You know what? I've always been a big talker, and I'll always probably talk a little too much. But here's the good news. Over the past maybe 5-6 years, I've really stopped talking as much as I used to. I've really made a lot of strides here and a lot of progress. That's really what I want to share with you. So I had a breakthrough here, and I finally realized what it was that I could do to really kind of reduce over talking. So what I realized was all the topics, all the subjects, all the things that I care about, not everybody is going to care about them, number one, or even if they do care about them, not everyone is going to care about them as I do. Once I started to just accept that, it really started to get a lot easier. On some level, it's maybe a little bit disheartening, maybe a little bit even disappointing, but it's just the reality of the situation. It's something that you just have to ultimately accept. It's just the way the world is. Now, don't get me wrong, say all the wonderful things that you have to say to the world, but make sure that, you really, this kind of goes back to, of course, understanding your audience, something that I talk about a lot in my books. So really, when you start to understand more and more about your audience, so you really just have to kind of adjust to the point where, what amount of information do I think that people want or people desire? And at that point, you kind of have to sort of stop. Now, I know a lot of times this is not just in your professional life, right? This is in your personal life as well. And in your personal life, it's actually harder than in your professional life. Your business life has a little bit more of a script to it in the sense that, if you're going to do maybe a presentation on this or that, whatever, it's going to basically be a little bit more constrained within those boundaries. So that actually kind of makes it a little bit easier. In your personal life, you're hanging out with friends, you're going to a bar, you're going to a restaurant. So if there really isn't any kind of those boundaries. The other thing I've learned, and not everybody wants to accept this, because when you are a big talker, you like to talk, right? So, but if you do a little less talking and a little bit more listening, that kind of sort of balances things out a lot more too. So taking that into consideration, saying that, okay, how much information, how much, interesting things do I have to say to these people, and how much do they either care about or want to care about or absorb? And also, let me kind of also listen to these folks a little bit more. That really kind of sort of makes the equation a little bit more balanced. And remember, it's never going to be perfect. If you are like me and you are just really that, talker, and you love to talk and you're a born talker, you're always going to be that. Never give up on this, natural born talent that you have of being, having the gift of gab and being a talker, being a speaker. Don't ever give that up. So, and you don't have to give that up, but in most situations, you probably do really need to kind of have a better understanding, kind of have a better sort of litmus test for yourself as to how much really you need to say and how much are people really willing to listen. And even if people are not going to say anything right to your face, unfortunately, they are probably thinking about that. This really can impact your life negatively if you don't take some control over it. Remember, you can never make things perfect, right? But you want to make things better. And I've really learned over the past 5-6 years in particular, I've been sort of consciously doing this, and I do think it really helps. I do think it really does make a difference. So send me your comments and questions, and each week you'll get a chance to win a copy of one of my books. Your choice, either my book on presentation skills or business writing skills.